Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom, where we bring you engaging conversations and respectful disagreement across the social spectrum.
Injected with the quirks of everyday life.
Curl up as we navigate the complexities of this modern world with all the humor and warmth we can muster.
And the occasional gentle ribbing. We're glad you're here. Happy listening.
Thanksgiving has come and gone, and it feels like the second the dishes were dry, the chaos kicked in. The Christmas trees are going up, the sales are going on, and the people are going absolutely crazy, trying to get everything done. It's like we go from gratitude to panic in under 24 hours. And honestly, that always hits me a little weird. As you may know, I'm our resident optimist, but my optimism isn't random. It's grounded in gratitude. I read an article here a while back about how optimism and gratitude are two of the biggest predictors of long-term health, both mentally and physically. And to me, it just makes sense. You can't really be or stay optimistic if you're not paying attention to what's good.
But here's the thing. It's December now, and the rest of the world has already sprinted past gratitude and into full-blown holiday chaos. Thanksgiving was, 5 minutes ago? We've barely finished the leftovers before everyone switched straight into Christmas mode.
I know people who didn't even wait that long.
Exactly. We treat gratitude like a seasonal assignment. We basically speed run thankfulness. One day of, wow, I'm so blessed, and then almost immediately go back to stressing over shipping deadlines and wish lists. No wonder contentment feels so rare. It's as if we never sit in gratitude long enough for it to actually mean anything.
And that's why we're here talking about gratitude now. After November has come to a close, when many people have mentally moved on, because newsflash, gratitude doesn't magically lose its power on December the 1st. If you know me, you know November is my month of thankfuls. Every day throughout the month, I send little notes to people nearest and dearest to me. Just one sentence, text message each morning about something I'm grateful for about them. Sometimes it's tender, sometimes it's silly, but for me, they're grounding. And I look forward to that thankful month all year long. And yes, I keep every single one, every single year. It's a practice that reminds me to be grateful for the people in my life and that gratitude isn't just a check off before moving on. Thankfulness doesn't expire just because the calendar flips and the leftovers are gone. It's a habit for everyday life. Like No Shave November, I just make thankfulness the month's focus. So today we're digging into why it matters for your health, why contentment feels more elusive than ever, and how people across each generation can practice thankfulness year-round. Welcome to Two Millennials and Mom.
I'm Callie.
I'm Cole.
And I'm Mom.
Happy November, guys. December. Happy December, guys.
But I really do love November because of that concentration. And because it means so much to me, I'm not just completely willing to give it all up. I may not spend 365 days a year, but I think that month brings me into more gratitude and into recognizing ways to say to people, hey, I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you. And I think that's a big part of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of my favorite parts about getting thankfuls from you is how small some of those things are. It's not, hey, you did this big thing for me. It's, hey, here's this one little aspect of our daily lives that I appreciate. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
I
babe.
like being in the kitchen with you. I
Yeah.
like eating together.
Yeah. I like having our family together. And I like that your dad will get up and go to the store
As
at a
many
moment's
times as
notice.
we ask him to.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah, for sure. So, but I think that especially when you're moving into December, you kind of forget that and you get into the hustle and the bustle of that season and what am I going to buy and who am I going to buy for and how am I going to get it to them and what's that going to look like? And, the dysfunction sometimes of your families, especially if you've split families like we do, who's going where first and second there and, how many presents do you buy for this one or that one, and you get into it. And so I think your brain forgets to be thankful.
To relish the actual reason for the season.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, and this is kind of looking at it from a different perspective, but we've mentioned that 24/7 fire hose of stimulus coming in. And so when you have so much stuff, it's really easy to focus on the things that make you angry or make you sad or make you frustrated, because those things are really powerful. And I think that a lot of times that that deluge of stimuli kind of washes out those little things that we are thankful for, that we do have that gratitude for. And so kind of taking that time to reorient and focus on that specifically, I mean, I think it's just a really interesting way to kind of manually turn on that positivity switch in your brain.
I think negative thoughts are really easy to have. It's that soundtrack in your mind that tells you things that you've lived with for years and years that you don't even stop to think about. And so I think you really have to stop those thoughts and you have to substitute good thoughts in. Whether that's thankfulness or gratitude, it changes your perspective.
Well, I think in many facets, it's really, really easy to kind of bypass all of the positive thoughts and get hung up on that one negative thought. I shared the story of Young House Love. They were doing stuff to their house on the internet. I mean, they were one of the original bloggers. And she has always said, I would get 99. I love this. Great job, Sherry. It looks so good. Comments. And then one person would say, oh, that's ugly. I don't like it. And that's the only one that she could focus on. And I think that we are all kind of guilty of doing that, of being responsible for letting those intrusive thoughts getting the best of us and taking over. Like, who doesn't have way too much stuff on their calendar this time of year? There's more stuff going on and working around other people's schedules. Like, I know more about the people around me this time of year just based on what their priorities are. I've got to go to this office Christmas party and I have to go to this carol lighting or caroling and this tree lighting and this and this church. And so all of a sudden you have this checklist of all of this stuff that has to be done. We have to get a tree. We have to put up these ornaments. We have to do this. We have to go buy gifts. We have to get them shipped. We have to wrap them. And it just becomes this exhaustion machine. Especially as Americans, I feel like we're really, really good at falling prey to hustle culture. More. Keep going. Go, harder, faster, stronger. And we don't do a good job of taking the time to be where we are. Oh my gosh, I am so grateful that I have people that want to buy me gifts. I am so thankful that I have people alive that are important to me that I want to buy gifts for, that I want to do things for.
I think we trick ourselves into the I have to state of mind,
Totally.
particularly around this time of year, because there's so much where you don't. And that's something that I am pretty good at. I don't have to do this.
Yeah. No is a completely reasonable, valid answer. And there doesn't have to be an excuse or a lie or a reason.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do this?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it.
I think I'm getting better at that, but I think it's been a very hard lesson.
I've been trying to rub off on you.
Yeah, thanks. But I mean, and maybe it's the difference of being a mom that you want to make sure that your kids have memories and that it makes something. And Cole, it's kind of like you said earlier, sometimes it's the dumbest things that make the memory. It's not the ones that I, planned or the
That's not what I said.
Consistent.
But it was the little things.
But that's what I meant. Sometimes it's not the big things that
the grand gesture.
Yeah. It is the little things. I mean, we still laugh about the year that we all had flannel pajamas and took funny pictures.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's such a good example, the pictures and things like that, because I hear people routinely, especially moms and moms of multiple children, we had to get all dressed up and go to this place and get this photographer and can you even believe how hard it is to get 5 members of a single family smiling and looking in the same direction at one time? And it is. And it's so you can get that perfect Christmas card and so that you can send it out to all of these people. And I'm not by any stretch saying don't do that, but the memories really are made by the kid picking up the flower and smelling it and being distracted and laughing. Yeah. And getting tickled when we were getting picked up off of the floor, whatever it may be, holding the 2-year-old upside down and him giggling. Those are the moments that I feel like we enjoy right then in the moment, but we're not very good at cherishing. Because
but if you look back on those pictures, those are the ones that make your heart smile.
Yeah.
It's not the ones that you went to the photographer and had
this is my post photo and this is what we want it to look like and this is how we want it to be and turn out. If you're looking for that kind of perfection, go to AI. Hey, these are all our family members. You just make us look great. Thanks.
Hadn't even thought about that gig. We can do that.
But it just isn't reality and it isn't what matters. And so I'm curious because I feel like we, especially being from different generations, handle gratitude differently and address gratitude differently. I think that gratitude looks different, and Cole, correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think gratitude looks different as a millennial. We were raised and brought up in peak consumerism. You've got Black Friday specials and everything's going to go on sale. We have to get up and be there at 4:30 in the morning. And then we have to go over here and then we have to do this and we have to go buy this and get this discounting, this sale. And in the age of the internet, all of that information was everywhere. And so you could make this whole big, huge plan for what you're going to do and how everything's going to be ready to go and how you're going to win Christmas. And I feel like kind of going back to that hustle culture that we have to achieve more. We have to do better. We have to, God forbid you bring in the whole, we have to do more with less. Like that takes work. And I'm not saying that work shouldn't be done, but I think that gratitude is overshadowed by doing so we can get it checked off.
I think it's an influencer mentality and not a gratitude mentality.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed, we tried something different last year for Christmas. I am not a great gift giver in general. Like I think things are really cool that a lot of other people tend to think are not as cool. And so trying to go and find what is Callie going to think is really cool? What is mom going to think is really cool? What is dad? Like y'all are pretty easy because I know you so well, but shopping for Trey or Jess or kids or Shauna or Pam, any of those I don't have that same level of closeness with them. Mm-hmm. Right. And so like, maybe they'll like this. I hope they'll like this. And it just kind of had gotten to the point where it was devolving into, well, here's a gift card to something that is kind of adjacent to stuff that I know that they're interested in. And that's just like really boring. Last year, when we switched it over to more of like the kind of white elephant style, where, okay, everybody gets something that is cool, and then we just
fight over the rest of it.
Fight over it. Yeah. It simplified it, and it made not only the lead up to that day so much more enjoyable, but that day too, because we're not, oh, I didn't get something that I wanted. Well, there wasn't anything that any of us like really needed or wanted or were expecting. So there's no being let down. There's no potential for that. And then we got to spend the rest of that day just enjoying each other's presence.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's go play some telestrations or board games together and just enjoy each other's presence. And like, to me, that is so much more enjoyable than I got a couple pairs of socks and a couple pairs of underwear, which I always ask for and always am grateful for. And I got a gift card to some place and I got some cool little gadget that I had talked about. Like, that stuff's cool, but it doesn't mean that much, Whereas getting to spend that time with each other and not having that, I hope they like this kind of stress simmering under the surface the whole time, just makes that whole day easier and better. And to me, more memorable.
And I think most of us are at a spot in our life where stuff doesn't have the same
Lord
meaning.
knows I don't need any more.
Me neither.
And so it seems senseless to put so much energy and stress and mental power into something that we don't really need.
Just so
Adding
you
to the
can
pile.
check it off the box. I got
Yeah.
that person's gift. All done. They're covered.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Cole. I think it was easier. It was less stressful. And it was kind of fun just to see what you guys would fight about and who would end up with what. And granted, a couple of you ended up with what you bought because that's what you wanted. But
Cool. Great.
Yeah. Bought
yeah,
it for a
No
reason.
disappointments.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think gratitude may be different. I don't know. Do y'all
But-
feel you live a life of gratitude?
I do. And I really notice it more anywhere else when I am upset. I am so mad about this. I am so frustrated about this, but I am so freaking grateful to be in this situation, to have this opportunity to be capable of being mad about this right now. And I've always, it's this weird conundrum that I find myself in. And I'm like, I don't even know how to just be mad. Because I know how blessed I am. I know how lucky I am. I know the life that I lead is so much better than a lot of people. And I don't want to squander that or take that for granted. Mom, I notice it every single time I do it. I'll call you and be like, I'm so mad about this and da-da-da. But don't forget, I'm also thankful about this, and this, and this. And I'm just so thankful to be in this position. I mean, and I almost kind of kick myself in those moments, like, Callie, you can just be mad. But it's so important to me to remain grateful because I'm so freaking blessed.
And
Yeah,
boo.
people get on to me for this, but oftentimes when somebody that I really know asks me how I'm doing, it's a pretty common response for me to say better than I deserve.
Yep.
And you just, do I though? I mean, sometimes, sure, but not all the time. I'm certainly not perfect. We know that. But I notice this more when I am around people that aren't, you two in particular, but just my family in general, is I'm going to, and you both know that I can complain with the best of them.
What?
I find myself, the train of thought, when somebody else is upset or is complaining about something, especially if it's something that I perceive as like not being that big of a deal, it's really easy for me to like redirect it and say, yeah, I get what you're saying. I get why you're upset about this, but what about this part of it? What about this part of it that has a tendency to kind of redirect the whole emotional status to say, I didn't really think about it that way. You're right. This part of it does suck, but manageable. We can
I
deal
thought
with
you
this.
just did that with me, boo. It's nice to know that you do that with everyone.
I do it with everybody.
But I think that that's the part that really kind of makes my eye twitch, right? Deserve, you said, better than I deserve. And I'm right there with you. I totally agree. And I always say, when somebody loses their dog, when their dog dies, I always say we don't deserve them. But when you really start breaking down the definition of deserve, it's something that you've earned. Good or bad, right or wrong, reward or punishment. It's something that you've earned. And I think at the end of the day, we have so much to be grateful for that was just a given that we miss those things. We do take them for granted. And like, do I deserve to be alive every day? I don't know that I've worked and made a reason pled my case for why I should be alive today. But I'm thankful to be here. And I don't want to squander that. And so I totally agree, Cole, better than I deserve every single day, because I haven't earned the right to be a white female in the United States, to be alive at 37 years old, to not have to worry about this, that, and the other. Those are givens that I am so freaking grateful for.
I think you're right. I think we have a tendency to skip over that part.
So why do you think that is seasonal? Why do you think we don't focus on that?
Because
fire
it's all
hose.
been commercialized.
Yeah.
And that
I
makes
think
me
that
really sad.
exacerbates it more than anything else.
And I think every year that exacerbation is amplified exponentially. And I think that if we can't take the time to step back and go, there is way more to my life than the 25 days leading up to Christmas and me getting all of these presents.
Yeah.
I think that we just have to. And it's so hard because, like Cole was talking about, the fire hose, we are inundated with get the best thing out there. Here's Oprah's favorite things. Here's the wish list of every teenager this season. And you need this, and this is going to change your life. And these are the best things that you could ever have. You're never going to know how you lived without. You didn't need it in the first place. And do we have needs? Yes, absolutely. But I think as a society, we're really, really bad at seeing the difference between a need and a want.
Yeah. We have definitely lost that capability. Just to kind of back up here, it is, I would say, changed my perspective tremendously from, I'm going to give myself some grace here, but as a kid, I tell you, I just want cool stuff for Christmas. But as I've gotten older, it's so much more important to me that there are people that I know are going to be there who want to give me gifts than the gifts that they give me. Like, Mom, you questioned me for years. You ask for socks and underwear. Yeah, because I need socks and underwear. That is, and the fact that you are there and happy and willing to get me socks and underwear, to get me a 6-month subscription to socks that getting mailed to my house every month was one of the best Christmas presents I've ever gotten. It was fantastic. And the fact that
It was pretty
you
easy
were
too.
there, yeah. But the fact that I have someone like you in my life who's willing to get me presents is way better than the presents.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think, Mom, I think that that's a prime example. What you just did right then is such a good way of showcasing how we're really fast to kind of trivialize all of it. Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot that I gave that to you. It was easy. It was no big deal, but it meant something to him. It meant a lot. He even just said it was one of my favorite gifts.
I would look for it with a thing. Hey, I don't really want to do laundry. I hope these socks are showing up in the next couple of days.
Goodness.
I have to say, that was a pretty hands-off deal. You picked the socks. I ordered them. I put them on a subscribe and save, and you got them every so many months.
But that's the thing. Like, how lucky are we that we've got people who are willing to put a subscribe and save order for something as trivial and goofy as socks? It's not exciting or fun or sexy. It's not on the best wish list of 2025. And it
It's
meant
what he
a lot
wanted.
to him. Yeah.
I wore every single pair of those socks till they had holes in them.
Babe, you've always worn every single pair of socks until you had holes in them. You just had more socks to wear.
Fair enough.
But again, it's so easy. And I'm so proud of Cole for being able to step up and go, God, I loved that. That made my life easier. Thanks for doing that for me.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't have to be this big, huge, grand gesture. It doesn't have to be the world's most expensive socks. It just worked.
Dickies tall work. Excellent.
I think the other part of this that is so powerful that we're really, really quick to forget is how the practice, and it's a practice, it is constantly learning, growing, evolving, doing it again and again and again and again until, there is no perfecting gratitude, I don't think, but how gratitude changes your brain. The science behind it, what it means in order for you to actively be grateful for something, to recognize that.
I think that's what my November Thankfuls has done, is to just get me prepped, you might say, to be more grateful, to recognize what I can be grateful for each of those people about.
It's the best excuse. Because that's what it is. November is your excuse to go and make that a priority.
Yeah, you're right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I have to say, the best part of that really is getting replies back from, I sent one this year and somebody said, I'm going to steal this idea of yours. And I said, go ahead. You won't be the first person. And I think that's been kind of fun too, to watch how how it's grown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really started out with, I think, 3 people, and then it's grown. And this one said, oh, I like that you're doing that. And there was one point that it was on somebody else's podcast that it got mentioned. And I mean, it does warm your heart to know that you've influenced people.
Made an impact.
And I think that's what gratitude does. I do think that it influences you in a really positive way. If you can do that, then I think it teaches you to look at more things. Like you say, you can be mad, but you can also be grateful. I think that's a really positive thing.
A more well-rounded perspective for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, scientifically, gratitude is going to reduce your stress and your depression and even your heart health. I mean, there's studies all over the place that show this.
Yeah. Boosts your sleep quality. It lowers inflammation. It reduces your rate of anxiety. Just like there are so many good things to come out of being grateful. People who practice it regularly, you can literally look at all kinds of research that tracks and calculates how different somebody who practices gratitude regularly versus somebody who may not.
Yeah.
I mean, and not only on top of that, like even if you only do it once, it's still injecting all kinds of dopamine and serotonin into your brain, into your reward system. Like there are benefits to those things. Like we were talking about it the other day, the dopamine addiction, like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. It gives your brain like this dopamine. Dopamine can be a great thing, but too much of a good thing is still not a good thing. I mean, even I hate to kind of bring this up on this podcast with this topic, but only being grateful is not a good thing. Cole, what was it we were talking about here a while ago? If you don't have the bad, you don't recognize the good.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing here.
You need that balance.
Yeah.
And just to kind of expound on that, it very much is a practice and one that I feel like I used to be better at. And I kind of have this is an early weird thought, and this is going to make y'all laugh. I don't know if either one of you knew this, but when I was a little kid, I was thoroughly convinced that I was the reincarnation of Abraham Lincoln.
Nice.
Like that I was Abraham Lincoln in a past life. And y'all included a quote here. And let me preface this. In my early to mid 20s, I was a bouncer and a bartender, and I had really long shaggy hair, and I still had my big shaggy beard. And in those places, I was kind of known for being zen, just being calm in some places that oftentimes weren't. And so like it was not uncommon for people to reference me as Bar Jesus, because I was just calm and I was like, hey, chill out, man. Everything's going to be okay. And people would come and they're like, man, how do you stay so positive in moments where things don't really seem that positive? And I had a mantra that I would share with people. And it was like, look, you have to decide to be happy. It is 100% a decision. And it's one that I still struggle with. You know this more than anybody, Mom. It's a decision that I don't make every day.
I was going to say, it's not one that you make one time and then it's just decided. You have to choose it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, every day. And I would tell that to people, like, look, you have to make that decision every day, multiple times a day to be happy. And you guys included a quote here that I thought was pretty fitting for that story, because it's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. And I think there's a lot to that.
For
I
sure.
mean, you can focus on the negative, but that's all you're going to see. And here's the thing. People lose marriages over focusing on just the negative, the way he loads the dishwasher. Marriages can be lost for less than that because you begin, and there was a movie out not several years ago now, but it was talking about look for the thing that your spouse does that you appreciate. Make a habit, make an exercise out of recognizing, just looking, and it changes how you even look at your spouse. And it's all kind of a mind thing that you can say, oh, it's like you said, Dad'll drop everything and go to the grocery store for us. I'm not sure I would have gone to the grocery store for y'all the day before Thanksgiving. I mean, that's way too many people for me.
Yep.
But he went that day, and he was up at 6:30 on Friday morning to go and get some other stuff because we changed our mind about something that we wanted. Not everybody's going to do that. I appreciate that.
Well, and I think that one of the things that's really important to note here, like we're talking about, optimism and gratitude are definitely something that you have to practice and you have to choose and you have to make those choices over and over and over again, sometimes hundreds of times a day, depending on what's going on. But just because you keep choosing gratitude and you keep choosing optimism doesn't mean that your life is suddenly going to be perfect. Everything's going to go great and everything's going to go well. But at the same time, it's how you go and address when turbulence does arise. I think that it's, again, been proven optimism and gratitude reinforce each other. So pair them together, put them together, because people who are optimistic are more likely to notice good things, are more likely to seek out goodness in their lives and to recognize those things. And all that does is create a positive feedback loop. And I think that there's so much benefit that comes from that, so that when that turbulence does arrive and when that hardship shows up, you can see beyond it. Oh my God, this really sucks right now, but I have to remember this is only temporary. I have to remember that there is more to life than just this one frustration right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you said, you don't have to choose to be happy. You don't have to choose gratitude every time, but it helps so much to remember that that's one of your options.
Yeah.
This is going to sound, and it really is super cliche, but I don't know if y'all have seen, I'm sure it's a really old saying, but it's a meme that's been going around the internet for years at this point. There are two wolves inside of you. The one that wins is the one that you feed.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I always remember, especially growing up in the church, whatever you fill your cup up with, physically, like a literal cup, whatever you fill it up with, that's what overflows. Like, if you fill it up with negativity and you keep filling it and you keep filling it and you keep filling it, eventually it doesn't just magically turn into positivity. Like,
I
that
can
just isn't how it
hear
works.
Chris saying it right
I
now.
know, can't you?
What you get out of this is what
It's
you
what
put
you
into
put
it.
into it. Yes, absolutely.
We'll have to tag him, then make him laugh.
I think that we have to give ourselves some grace and say, I am not going to be perfect. The world is not going to treat me as if I was. That is not reality. But we also have to commit to ourselves to choosing gratitude and choosing optimism every chance that we can.
Remembering that it's one of your choices and using it.
Yeah. I think the other part of it is long-term practices of gratitude is associated, again, with more physical benefits. It's lowering your stress hormones. It's strengthening your immune function, especially right now in the middle of cold and flu season. Anybody could benefit from not being sick, right? Like, who wants to be sick? Lower cognitive decline in older adults. It strengthens your relationships and your ability to have social bonds between your peers. I mean, you guys, do you want to go and hang out and spend a bunch of time with somebody who is constantly, everything sucks, this is the worst day of my life? Like, no, nobody wants to be around that person. And that's not to say that you can't have a day like that. have a week or a season like that because it's still real life. It isn't
You just
all
can't
going to
let
go
yourself get
swimmingly.
stuck in that undertow.
Drowning in negativity. I think it's so powerful. And Cole, you said something at the very beginning about if we never sit in gratitude long enough, we don't recognize that it means anything. And like we were talking earlier, I think that the same thing could be said of gratitude. It all compounds. The moment that it's a snowball effect, right? It just grows bigger and bigger and bigger and more powerful the more you do it. It's also like a muscle. The more you work it out, the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
The wolf you
What?
feed.
The wolf you feed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, it's a tool.
Do you think it's harder for your generation?
Yes. I think that I think we are more susceptible to that 24/7 fire hose just because we have existed in it for a much higher
Yeah.
percentage of our lives. And so I think it's harder for us to imagine existing outside of it.
I think that that's true, but I also think, Cole, we were talking about grit the other day, and who is a better candidate? The person who it's just handed to them versus the person who has had to work so hard to get there and achieve this. I think that same mentality and line of thinking could be applied here as well. We have suffered from so much shit. Like just absolute chaos in the world, especially in the time in which was our formative years. And so I think part of it is also like kind of the flip side of that coin is we get really good. You can get really good at finding the silver lining, at finding the positive, at finding the ways in which to be joyful. And I think that no matter what generation you're from, again, it's all a choice, but you have to actively choose it. And so I think to some extent, millennials can choose either way. I'm going to choose to let this all get the better of me and to go down with it and succumb to all of this chaos and frustration and sadness, or I'm going to choose to push through and figure it out.
I think there's some difference generationally, though. I mean, I think my generation has been taught to just push through whatever
Sure.
it is. Just go ahead and you can do it. And I think we left out that gratitude. You just need to go ahead and do it. You just go ahead.
I think that comes from the generation before you. I think that was instilled in you.
I would
Because there
agree
was
with you.
so much that they just had to muscle through because they didn't have another choice.
Yes.
Well, and I think that, again, going back a long, long, long time ago when we did the millennial blame game episode talking about millennials are the reason that everything is ruined and the whole world sucks and it's all their fault. I think that part of that has to do with the fact that if you guys want to all sit here and point your fingers at us, okay, fine. But we're also choosing to do something about it. We have the highest rate of people who are going and seeking therapy than any other generation thus far. It has become more accessible because people wanted to find solutions to make it more accessible. Hey, this is really beneficial. I want to find a way to make it to where anybody can go, not just the upper echelon of society. I want to make it to where everybody can go, because this is beneficial. And so I think part of that change and the difference between your generation and mine, Mom, is that we found a bridge between the frustration and the gratitude via vulnerability. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Let me address this. Let me figure out how to fix it. What actually went wrong here? So that we're not just continuing to repeat that same pattern over and over again. And I think that your generation is much more hesitant to address things, to change them, to fix them.
Yeah. I think that your generation also, or maybe it's the generation coming after you, that is feeling like there isn't anything that's going to be positive, anything that's
Existential
do.
dread.
Do
Well,
what?
Existential dread.
Yeah. And so I think it's really important for that generation to learn gratitude and thankfulness, because it's that whole thing of, again, focusing on that negative. And if all you think of is that it's going to be bad, then that's really what you're going to
It's going to
get.
be bad.
Yeah. You've got to learn. And so somewhere along the line, we need to teach that generation gratitude.
Well,
Yes,
and
it's bad, but come on, you can do this.
I think that there's more to it than that, though. I think Cole, again, was talking about the fire hose and the overwhelm that comes with so much information all the time. And he's said it on this podcast before. We use social media and technology and AI as a tool. The next generation that follows us has been so inundated. This is how you live your life. It's all public. It's all out there. It's everywhere, every time, all day long. And we were just made fun of. Millennials were just made fun of because we took pictures of our food. So let's say you post 3 things a day. Here's my breakfast. Here's my lunch. Here's my dinner. Okay, fine. I'm not saying that that's good or bad. I'm just saying that we used it 3 times a day versus these kids who are completely inundated with social media.
Existing through it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And having to look good, not just for their peers and their class, but for the entire world.
For the
Because they're
world.
on display all
Which
of
is
the time.
impossible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Gen Z is the epitome of child actresses or actors, right? Like, we're just going to put them on display all of the time and expect this of them. And then we're confused when they're overwhelmed. Then we're confused when they're tired of being in the public. And that's
They
not
start
fair to
acting.
them. Yeah. I think going
So
back to the kind of hustle generation, we're taught by our society that always got to be moving, keep going, keep doing more. It's not enough to become a millionaire. You got to become a multimillionaire. It's not enough to become a multimillionaire. You have to be a billionaire. And I think that we've kind of lost. I think that your generation, and especially the generation prior to you, I think they were really, really good at contentment. I think that it's a lost and a dying art. You know, you've got people who I'm thinking about Mama and Pete, like my great grandparents who were farmers, and there was nothing fancy and crazy, exuberant about what they had or what they had earned. But I think that they also recognized, holy cow, we have enough. And we're so freaking grateful for that. And that's enough. Whereas I think today, that enough is a moving target.
Yeah, constantly on the move because there's so much new. I mean, thinking back, I don't think anything in their house changed ever during my lifetime.
No.
It was always they didn't need new stuff. I think they got new chairs one time because their old ones wore out.
We put tile in their kitchen when we took out the shag carpet to replace the shag carpet in the kitchen.
Yeah, we did.
That's right. Because who has shag carpet in their kitchen?
Also gross.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, we impacted more change on their house than they did, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
During my lifetime, at least.
Yeah. But now, especially with the age of social media and influencers, you need to have a whole new setup for Christmas every single year. And you need to have all of this brand new stuff and a whole new wardrobe. And all of this has to be different and fancier and exciting and new. And everything has to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
More.
Right.
Because we need another dopamine hit. And if it's not bigger and better and newer, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's tolerance is all it is.
Think of you always going, one more. And that's what we do as adults.
Yeah. And I feel like it has become this constant competition. Do I have more than my neighbor? Do I have more than the people across the street? What about, do I have more than my parents or my coworkers? Like, I got to do better than them. I got to do better than everybody else. Like, what happened to just being content? Oh my God, I'm so freaking thankful to be alive. That's enough for me.
I often wonder, and we had this conversation earlier, how much money is enough. We were talking to Pamela, and she said when her business changed and she thought, okay, if I can have $500 left over after all of the bills are paid, I'm doing great.
That'll be enough. Yeah.
That'll be enough. But then it needed to be $1,000. And then it needed to be $2,000. And we don't know where enough is.
Because it's
And
constantly growing and moving. And I am not saying that inflation is not a thing. It is. And so $500 is not, it may not be enough. But at the same time, and I said this to her during that conversation, I feel like we're smart enough as a society and we've got a ton of technology at our fingertips. There has to be a pretty simple calculation that says, hey, if I can cover my bills, I can save for my future, I can take care of the things that I need. And again, you're going to have to define wants versus needs and actually stick to that. Then anything beyond this point is more than enough. I don't need that much more. I don't know.
And what if we were willing to go to that point and then anything above that was charitable or
given away to people who are less fortunate than us?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked on this
novel
podcast
concept.
how much that $2,600 COVID check was worth to some families, that it changed. I mean, it took them out of poverty. And if
That
it's
changed their
that
world.
little amount of money, yeah, it could change the world.
Yeah.
Contentment.
Yeah.
Gratitude for what you've got.
Yeah. And I think that again, talking from a generational standpoint, I think that we define them differently. I think that we all define contentment differently. I think that as millennials, we tend to define it as more, I have flexibility. I've got the opportunity to work from home this week.
I'm not under pressure.
Yes. Yes, a lack of pressure. There's some freedom there. And I'm not going crazy in my head. I've got some peace.
Yeah.
And that's enough. And then I think that, especially based on the generation prior to you, I think that baby boomers recognize contentment as more stability. I know what's going on. I know how things are going to work out in terms of this, that, or the other. This is okay. I can do this. I can manage this. It's not turbulent. It's not super crazy. I can manage all of the rest of it. And
I always think of, I lost my grandfather, my father, and my brother-in-law in a 3-year period. And my dad and my brother-in-law were executives high up in an organization. They made really good money. And yet, when they were gone, there wasn't much left to take care of the people that were there. But my grandfather, who probably made lots less money than they ever did as a farmer, my grandmother was taken care of financially. It was enough. And because they didn't have crazy needs, like you say, Cole, they didn't switch a lot of things out. But I can also tell you this, when they moved into that house that you're talking about, they paid cash. They didn't have a mortgage. They paid cash. They paid cash for their vehicles. I mean, it's a different mentality.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to say their choices were much smaller. The choices now, like you say, are a fire hose and are overwhelming.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So if you've only got two things that, are your options, I think it's easier to settle for one of those.
I think it's easier to identify which one is better for you to settle on.
Yeah. But if you've got 100 of those.
That's where, and I think that my generation is probably afflicted by this more than yours, I would expect, is this paralysis by analysis. Because I find myself doing it all the time. Okay, I know what I want the end result to be, but I have 50 different ways to get there. I need to know exactly how each one is going to play out before I can ever make a decision. Because I want to know which one is going to work the best.
But in order to go through and cycle through those 50 different options, that takes time. That takes a lot of time. And so you're
A
chasing down
lot.
this answer and this answer and this answer and this answer. And by the time that you've chased all of the answers,
Now there's a
technology
new
and
decision
things,
to be made.
there's a whole new thing to talk about, to even look into.
And the truth is, sometimes that's not, I mean, none of that is really for sure.
Sure.
Anything can change that.
I think that it leaves you constantly going all of the time. It never gives you an opportunity to slow down, pay attention to what's immediately surrounding you. And when you can't slow down and you can't pay attention to the things around you, it makes gratitude intentionally really hard because you're just constantly going. I mean, do you really believe that this is a goofy example, so don't laugh at me, but do you think the Energizer Bunny ever stopped and said, I wonder what would happen if I played the French horn? He just went all the time. What would adding a cymbal sound like? It's
Well, let's
crazy to
talk
me.
about some ways to do this to get it into your system.
So I think first and foremost, there are a couple of different versions of practicing ways to practice gratitude. I think first and foremost is the quiet practice of gratitude, doing things inwardly, not for anybody else, just for you. And I think that those can be really, really tiny things. We were talking about it, Cole and I were talking about it earlier. Noticing how warm the sunlight on your face feels after a rainstorm.
That's a great one.
There is nothing wrong with being grateful for that. All it does is add goodness to your life, but it requires you to slow down long enough to say,
Yeah.
this is really nice.
You have to sit in the sun to get it.
Yeah, you do. I
Yeah.
think that there are some more woo-woo granola options in terms of practicing breath work or mindfulness, meditation, things like that. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think that they have a little bit more of a woo-woo rep, but
I got one
think
that's
they're
really not
beneficial.
woo-woo for you.
Hit me.
And this is something that it has gotten so easy for me in the last couple of years. Dad loves to go fishing. And I really like to go fishing. And he and I have very different fishing styles. He fishes for a completely different fish than I prefer to fish for. But I like going out there with him. Just to be out there. And sometimes we don't catch very many fish. And he gets so frustrated because he wants to catch fish with me. And I get that. But catching fish, and I told him this the last time we went, man, I wish we'd have caught some more. I'm sorry we didn't get on them today. You don't have to be sorry, Dad. You took me out there on the boat with you. We got to sit out there on the water on a beautiful day, just
Together.
not even having to talk to each other, just enjoying being on the water in each other's company. I don't care. We could have caught nothing and I would have had a great day.
Luke Combs has a song about taking his little boys hunting and about he knows that they're not going to get anything because they're just talking too loud and, they move around too much. But it's so much better to have them there for the time that when they won't go hunting with you. So I think that's really valid, Cole. Time spent with somebody that you care about.
That may not be there.
With no
next
goal,
year.
with the goal not being the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we went out there to go fishing, and catching fish is great. Don't get me wrong, especially when you come up with a loaded live well. That's a great day. But to me, it's not better than coming back empty-handed. It's different.
Yeah.
It's more exciting, and this is what I told Dad. It's not what I come out here for.
Yeah. If you came out there for that, they'd call it catching. I think one of the other things that we can all do better at is reframing what is kind of going on, even if it's just internally to ourselves. And I had a deal that I kept, like a printout that I kept for forever, long time ago. And instead of saying, I failed at X, what did you learn? I learned that this didn't work. And you can start changing the way that you think about things and changing the way that your mind sees things so that you're reframing it into not a negative, but a positive. Because yes, you're right. You did fail at that. But now you know that that isn't going to work. And now you know that if you do it this way, you have a better chance because it's not that didn't work. I'm not good at X. Change it to I'm always improving, or I want to improve my this. I'm not good at cooking. I am looking to improve my cooking skills. And the moment that you start reframing those things, and the moment that you kind of give yourself a little bit of that dopamine positivity, again, it snowballs. This is too hard. Change it to, I like the challenge of this. Because again, you're learning, you're growing, you're alive. I think that there's so much goodness that can come out of just changing the way that you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. I'm going to see if I can kind of rephrase it here a little bit and maybe come at it from a different angle. I think it would also be really helpful. I see this in some of my friends. I think it would be really helpful to temper your expectations to a degree.
Sure.
Again, kind of going back on a cliche here, under promise, over deliver. Like, I don't want to go like to the full, like, well, if I wake up expecting every day to be a bad day, I'll never be disappointed. That's not what I'm really getting at here. But to take your expectations and temper them and keep them in the realm of reality, to say, okay, I'm not going to set this bar super high. And that gives me an opportunity to be really excited about the result, to say, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to use it as an opportunity to learn. I'm going to turn it into an opportunity to, I'm glad that I got the opportunity to try this. Right. I'm glad that I got the opportunity to do it this type of way. And if it didn't work, now, I know, hey, I can try it a different way and I'll get a different result, hopefully. And it's not always going to be the case. But to take those expectations, it doesn't have to be, just like you said earlier, Gig, too much of a good thing is a bad thing. If you don't have black, you can't recognize white. If you don't have light, you can't recognize dark. Without the bad, you cannot recognize the good. All of it becomes meaningless. And so to think that every outcome has to be the best possible outcome, I think is a trap that particularly our generation, Callie, falls into. And so kind of tempering those expectations and bringing them back down to earth, I think makes a lot of this a lot easier.
Dan Harris was a ABC
news anchor,
news guy, and he did a big study on meditation. And that's where 10% Happier, the podcast, the book, everything came from, because he decided that if he could just get 10% happier, that was the goal to meet, and that was enough to change his life. And it did.
I mean, Cole, can you imagine looking at your trades that you're sitting here making? Would you be disappointed by a 10% gain?
Lord, no.
But
10%
I think
gain is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that you're 100% correct in this whole tempering your expectations. And Mom, I'm going to turn this back on you. I think that the same thing could be said to you. We've been having this conversation about the purpose in life and legacy and all of this. Maybe your legacy didn't need to be that you cured cancer, or that you started a multi-billion-dollar company and you changed the lives of 500,000 people. Maybe the expectation to raise two good, happy human beings who are looking to improve their lives too is enough.
It's not a bad one.
Bad one. And I think that we're really, really quick to say, well, I only started $1 million company instead of $1 billion company. $1 million company is still a big freaking deal. That's still something to be excited and proud of.
So that takes care of kind of some of the inward part, the inner. Talk to me about the outward.
So I think that the outward is kind of the exact opposite, right? Is expressing it to the world around you. And I think that that can be a couple of different things. It can be really, really simple, like saying thank you to someone, whether you know them or not. Cole, you and I are both really funny about this. Mom will ask dad to do something and he'll say, okay. And we'll both go, thank you. We're kind of jerks about it, if I'm really being honest.
To be
Sometimes.
fair, we got that from them because they drilled that into us. And if you're going to drill
Absolutely.
it into me,
Be
you get to
prepared to
hold
get it
yourself to
back.
the same standard.
I totally agree. But I think just again, remembering to say thank you in that moment is really powerful. It makes the other person that you're dealing with, even if it's just as simple as, hey, so-and-so held some stranger whose name I don't know and I have no idea what's going on in their life. They took the time to hold the door open for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. They could, maybe they were really busy and they didn't have time and they took that time to
Yeah.
share with me. I think
We
it
And
can
mean it.
be, yeah,
We talked earlier about seeing somebody walk by and liking their outfit and kind of feeling like we would be embarrassed to say, girl, you look great in that. But what a difference that might make, because it does feel good when somebody says that to you, that we have to be a little bit braver about saying things to people, positive things to people.
yeah. I always feel so weird. I'm like, oh gosh, her dress is so cute. And I'm like, oh, Callie, you're just being weird. You're just being a creeper. Like, stop creeping on that lady. But at the same time, if somebody came and said to me, oh, Callie, your dress is so cute, I'd be like, oh my gosh. Like, and that would make my whole day.
Yeah.
And it costs nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about paying it forward and paying for the car behind you. I really like your dress. You look great. Your
Yeah.
hair
Nice
looks
hat,
awesome
man.
today. Yeah. I think that we just get so caught up in our own lives and our own selfishness that projecting some of that thankfulness and that gratitude and optimism back out into the world is only beneficial. And then, Cole, you were talking about tempering expectations. I think that, and kind of your fishing trips with dad and things like that, I think one of the other ones that's really important is to compliment the efforts, not just the results. It's okay to not catch all of the fish in the lake. We had a great time doing it. And that can be enough. Being content with the effort that was put in. Hey, you took time out of your day to come and spend with me, and we didn't catch a dang thing. Thanks for doing that. I loved it.
It's another cliche. I'm full of them today.
Yeah, you
And
are.
it's one that I use over and over and over because a lot of time, like I will thank somebody for something or like, oh, well, we didn't really get the result that we wanted. It doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts. It's
Mhm.
the effort that I'm thankful for. Like you tried. And I really appreciate that because you didn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. So I got in for Thanksgiving the other day and mom was doing a big clean out of her office and stuff. And we happened upon a bunch of her like holiday letters. Cole, do you remember those where everybody would send out like, hey, here's a big letter about what happened with our family this year and who's doing what and where we are now. Oh, we moved to Acapulco and our kids graduated college and so bought a new car. And I think that one of the most exciting things of that was to go and reread. We read several. 1992, before you were born, mom was pregnant. You could hear it in her voice. Okay, we're getting ready to welcome this new baby. Trey was little. I was little. 1992, 1996. I mean, a bunch of them. And it was so cool to hear mom profess the joy that she was experiencing in those moments. She said something, it's going to make me cry. She said something in one of them about Cole is the best person. I think you were 2 at the time, maybe 3. Cole is the best person and he is such a cuddler and he gives great hugs and I want to soak it up for as long as he'll let me. And my immediately thought as I sat there and cried through reading them all, because they were just, she's a great writer first and foremost, but they were just such beautiful snapshots of our lives. I remember sitting there thinking, going, he's still that way. He's still so great at being present and letting you come. And we still talk about what great hugs you give, because you definitely give the very best hugs. And so I think that just making sure that that gratitude isn't performative. I mean, there were several times where she kind of threw herself under the bus and she was like, God, I hope Tom keeps loving me, even though I keep sending him to the grocery store. And it was just so cool to feel how real they were and recognize kind of the change in the years. And hey, it's been really busy this year and I haven't had enough time to spend with the people that I wanted to. And this was really hard and I wasn't prepared for this to happen. And I'm so tired of people getting freaking heart attacks. And which she said in one of them. And I just think that we have to remember those letters were sent out to people that she loved, people that loved us, that we loved. And it wasn't doing it for the gram. It was because I want to hear back from you what's going on in your life and in your family's life so that I can celebrate your wins. These are mine and this is what's going on over here. And you may have missed this, but I want to make sure that you know, because I'm so proud of my little family. And it just was really cool. Thanks for doing those, Mom. I still think you should do them again. The other kind of thing in this outward gratitude expression is building gratitude into your habits, into your rhythms. Maybe that is every time you sit down for a family dinner. I've seen people who are like, okay, what's your rose and your thorn of the day? I loved this part about today and this part really sucked. Okay, there's still gonna be sucky stuff, but making a point to having it being a practice, a consistent part of your lives. Your people around you come to expect it. Somebody asked me the other day, I want your, oh gosh, I'm going to be so annoyed. I can't remember it. Oh, your high, low, and your buffalo. Casey, thank you very much. It was nice and weird, but your high, your low, and the random thing that happened to you this week.
I love
it.
it.
Was just so funny. I loved it. It took me a minute to figure out what he was saying, and I just loved it. But we were sitting in the pool. We could have been talking about nothing or everything. We talked about stocks and trading and business strategies. And then he was like, so what's your high-low buffalo this week? And it was such a good thing. And it was so cool because he's got little kids and he's doing it right there in front of them. And so they all knew, oh, Dad, my high was this, my low was this, and my buffalo was that. Isn't that weird?
I love it.
And it was just a constant part of spending time with him. I mean, whatever that is. Mom, you did something. What did you do? You used to do something when you were brushing your teeth. Was it balance?
Yeah. I do my pirate balance so I can keep my balance going while I'm brushing my teeth.
Yeah. I think that was such a funny one. Like, you can't do anything else while you're sitting there brushing your teeth.
Sure.
What if you started throwing in, even again, just for your own self, hey, I want, when I'm spending that 2 minutes brushing my teeth and I can't talk to anybody and I can't do anything else, I'm going to start listing the things that I am so glad that happened to me this week.
Yeah.
Making it part of a practice and a consistent routine is really, really helpful. And do it by yourself. Do it with the people around you. Do it with your coworkers, whatever that means and looks like and works for you, go for it. And I think that, like I said, sitting there with Casey in the pool the other day and his little family, and we're sitting there and his wife was so funny. She's like, yeah, he does that. And I'm like, I love it. I love that he shared that with me. I love that he was willing to ask about my life. And I have used it on several other people. I'm like, okay, I want to know what's your high, low, and your buffalo. And they always look at me like I'm a lunatic at first. And then they're like, oh, well, I hadn't thought about that. But I think that for me, it was such a good kind of excuse to slow down and pay attention, to be right there. I loved it.
That's great.
And then there is kind of the written gratitude, which I feel like is the more what you're used to seeing. Okay, we need to make sure that we've got our gratitude journal, or we're writing thank you notes, or I happen to be that person who saves voice memos. I have one in my phone from somebody calling saying, Callie, it's all going to be okay, and I still love you. And it meant a lot to me. And I kept it. It's probably 7 years old. And it meant a lot to me. And every now and then when things are bad, I go back and say, let me listen to that voice memo again. I need to hear that again.
Yeah.
And so I think just having those tangible receipts of that appreciation is really important and carries a lot of weight.
It's a lot harder to forget it when it's pinned on your wall.
Yes.
We had a
Yes.
CEO that asked, we had 33,000 employees, and he asked us to write down 3 things every day that you were grateful for. And I found a little book that had come actually from them that was what I did. And it was on my calendar so that I would remember it 5 days a week. And it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. For sure it does. You know, they say that you're something like 600% more likely to accomplish a goal if you write it down than if you just think about it.
Yeah.
And I think that the same kind of logic, whatever the percentage is, it was far and away positive, but whatever the percentage is, you're much more likely to benefit and spend time putting into it and thinking about it, to slow down and say, okay, what am I grateful for today? Write it down, and it means more. It's more permanent.
And they don't have to be really
Novels.
novel or in-depth things. There's a lot of times that mine is just, I'm grateful for your dad. I can accomplish what is on my schedule for today. And I love this dog.
Yeah.
I'm glad
You
I
know?
could find my keys this morning.
Yeah. That's enough some days.
Lunch was good. So-and-so called. It's just a matter of training yourself to look for the positives and to recognize them and to make it a practice. It does
I
help
want
the
to
tough days.
I really want to highlight that. I want to back up here a little bit, and because I'm hoping to highlight how this can be impactful for ourselves, because I want to get y'all's responses first. How does it impact your day when someone says thank you to you, when someone shows gratitude to you for something?
It warms my
Oh.
heart.
Yeah, a lot.
Every time.
Mhm.
I talk to a lot of people every day. I help a lot of people, and some of them are not very genuine, and some of them, it could be the simplest thing. I forgot my password. Hey, there's a setting that I know is on here and I can't find it. Do you know where it is?
I
Man,
got
thank you
you.
so much. I've been looking for this for hours. You guys, I've talked to you before. You're always really helpful. You guys are always you guys, your team is just the best. And it makes me sit up in my chair. It makes me smile. They tell us this thing over and over. Anybody who's ever worked in a call center, you've heard this: smile through the phone. It's so easy to do that when someone has given you just a
Yeah.
simple, hey, thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And from the other side of it, if I'm calling into a call center and getting somebody and I'm frustrated about this, and I'm so pissed off about this, the outcome for me is so much easier and so much more productive when they say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. Let me help you. Oh my God, I'm not alone in this all of a sudden. I don't have to be frustrated by myself. I totally get it. Let's figure it out. And I think that just the ability to have somebody recognize that this is frustrating, recognize that I'm frustrated, even if they're not, to recognize that I'm frustrating is really powerful. We talked about
You said
writing
that
things down. Go ahead.
one of my thankfuls this year went to a person at the state that I deal with pretty routinely. I know I can go to her and get an answer. And that's all I said. And I explained, I said, this is the month that I do thankfuls. This is for you today. I just want you to know how thankful that I am that I can always call on you. And always expect for you to be kind and give me an answer. And she sent back the most adorable, it was a really cute graphic, but the sweetest note to say, thank you so much for thinking about me like that. That made my day today. It's
Yeah.
important.
Just knowing that you were able to impact someone's day in a positive manner makes your
Yeah.
day that much brighter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking for the sunshine and recognizing it when it's there. I feel the same way, Mom. Anything else you guys have to say about thankfulness, gratitude, optimism?
Do it.
I had a buddy that I'm going to tell on here in just a second, a little bit, but he was a shining example of what we've been talking about a couple of weeks ago. I was just getting off work one night, and it had been, it wasn't a bad day, but it wasn't a particularly good one either. And I'm driving home, and it pops up that he had sent me a text message, and he was just like, hey, man, everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about. I just wanted to say thanks for being my homie. Thanks for being my friend. You're always there for me, and I really appreciate that.
I love
And
those.
so I called him up, and he's like, man, I told you everything is good. And I was like, no, I know. I wanted to say I appreciate you being mindful of that. And I feel the same way, man. Thank you for being my friend. So you're going to, if you listen to this, you're going to know who we're talking about. But we had our weird thought today is about pets. And this same friend went out of town this week for Thanksgiving, and he called me and he goes, hey, would you mind checking on my dog while me and my wife are out of town for Thanksgiving? And I said, yeah, man, no problem. I'll go over there and check on her. And I work on a second shift team. So I kind of keep odd hours compared to most normal daytime people. And so I just let him know, hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. I might have my sister run over there just so that she can get fed at a normal time.
Mind you, these are people that I don't know and have never
Yeah.
met. And he's like, oh, she can go into your house. And he was like, okay.
But later that evening, after I've checked with her, Callie's just gotten in, and she and I were talking about it, and Mom walks up and she goes, well, what are y'all talking about? And I said, well, I'm going to check on my friend's dog, Leia, and Callie is going to run over there in the evening to check on her while I'm at work. And Mom goes, why don't you just bring her here? We got that cleared with everybody. And Leia was an absolute angel for like 95% of the day. Just a total sweetheart, big fluffy. Nieces and nephews came over and she was great with them.
They got some kisses.
She
They got
never
some kisses.
barked. She was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. She had one mishap where she rolled in
had a
poop in
party.
the backyard. Whose poop,
She
we're not sure.
really
but-
It was not mine. I assure you, it was not mine. Just for the record.
She got into it hard, and I mean, she worked it in there.
Stanky.
Yeah, I was taking a nap before work that afternoon, and somebody let her in, and she came to say hi to me on the couch, and it brought me up off the couch because it was rank.
Yeah.
But other than that, we absolutely loved having her here that day. She was just wonderful. But our weird thought today about Leia, pets don't get to talk and they don't get to say thank you.
No, they don't get to express it the same way that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they consistently manage to be a source of joy in our lives. I mean, if they weren't, why would we keep them around? Callie, you say it all of the time. We don't deserve them. And I completely agree. I like most dogs more than I like most people.
So when one of the things that I think is kind of helpful to note is Mom and Dad lost their dog here a while ago. And it has made this house incredibly quiet. And we miss that presence, and they haven't decided to get another dog or anything yet. And we're missing him. We're missing that presence being in the house and being goofy and being silly and making you laugh and rolling in poop and having to clean it up and just being lovely. I think that when we look at it as pets being one of the purest reminders of goodness and of joy, we have to remind ourselves that it isn't always about words, and it isn't always about big, grand gestures. It's sometimes just recognizing how much the little, messy, unexpected parts of life bless us without anything else. And so I think we were sitting here talking and getting ready for this episode, and I think that we just have to remind ourselves that it can look like whatever it is that we want it to look like. It can look like your dog knowing that you're having a rough day and walking over and just nuzzling you because you're not alone. I had a German Shepherd Honey, who she knew and could sense that I was having a rough day on occasion. And I had big, long, sheer drapes. And she would go and get behind the drapes and then walk out from underneath them so the drapes would come up over her face. And then she would just look at you with these drapes sitting on her head. And you can't not laugh. It's the equivalent of, Cole, you'll walk in sometime and just stick your tongue out at me. And it's you being goofy, and it's one of my favorite things. And we sneak them in when nobody else is looking. And it's just such a good reminder that it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. It can just be gratefulness. And we loved having Leia here, and she came and laid right next to me, and I went to sleep with her right next to me, and it was awesome. And I was so thankful for your friend and his wife sharing her with us when this house is so quiet, and just getting to enjoy her. And she couldn't have been better. She was an angel.
Yeah, she was a good girl. And even when she rolled in poop, she just stood there and let us wash her down and rub her. And she was just as content as could be.
Yeah.
I wish I could be that happy as a dog. Okay.
She was awesome.
Well, now I'm going to give you a good story, another good story, because Leia was a pretty good one.
She was.
But this is in Monroe, Ohio High School. Students were recently given a chance to share something good that had happened in their day. So they set up a microphone in a hallway. They put a sign on the mic that said, "Tell us something good that happened today." And honestly, the guy that started this wasn't expecting a great deal. But it became a stage for the kids to speak honestly about their small victories, from making a new friend, to getting the guy's first girlfriend, to getting a compliment from a teacher, from not missing the bus, or from my relationship with my mom or my sister is much better than it was. So Adam Markham was the school's communication coordinator, and he just wanted to encourage the students to say, "Hey, this is easy to forget the impact that you have on a human being. Give us one thing that makes this positive." And so the resulting video captured the hearts of viewers. They knew it would be something that their community would embrace. But what happened is it went viral and everywhere and quickly, and millions of people watched as the students celebrated everyday moments, reminding everyone that gratitude doesn't have to be big or flashy. It can come from the little ordinary things we often take for granted. Teachers and parents alike say it's a beautiful reminder that pausing to notice the good, even in small doses, can bring positivity and connection to daily life. So, major kudos, Adam. What a great way to encourage your students to share gratitude.
I'll have to put a link to the video, and you can cry right along with us into the show notes, because it's these kids who they just show up and are vulnerable, not in these big, overthought, planned out dramatic ways. Miss so-and-so complimented my art today. And it
And you
was
could
awesome.
see the pride in that kid's face as he said that.
For sure. And it was one after another of them just saying, "Ugh, this was good."
And it wasn't, I mean, he thought they'd say, oh, I had a great meal today. But it was some real vulnerability,
Simple vulnerability.
simple things that kids just were willing to express. Hey, this is better in my life. This has been good in my life. We should all have a microphone with a sign that says, tell us something good that happened today.
I think if we did and we were to utilize it, I think we would be much better off as individuals and as a people. Focusing on that gratitude, focusing on the good, choosing to continue to speak out and say, this was great.
Yeah.
I loved this part. Oh, this was really hard and I got up from it.
So thanks, Adam, for doing that. Thank you guys for sharing some of your gratitude with me too.
I love you guys.
I love you guys. Bye.